Oh, nice tux.
Thank you.
Wow, it's a rental, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Where are we going, Felix?
You think you'll go home?
Honestly, home doesn't mean the same for me as it does for you, Felix.
Well, why don't you come home with me? Come to Saltburn.
I see why Felix likes you so much. You're so, real.
Oliver, I have a complete and utter horror of ugliness. Ever since I was very young. I don't know why.
Maybe because you're a terrible person.
Lots of people get lost in Saltburn.
This place, it's not for you.
I can honestly say that these last few months have been the happiest of my life. Anything else I should know about?
No, just be yourself. They'll love you. It's relaxed, I promise.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and I'll do anything for attention. Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister, the co-host of Dorking Out, Margot D. Hello, my friend.
Hello, my friend. I feel like dancing naked.
Woo! It's murder on the dance floor. This was a request. We are dorking out about last year's Saltburn 2023. A very divisive movie, to say the least, and people have been asking us to talk about it. If you have not seen it, we're definitely going to spoil it, and you don't want it spoiled. So pause right now, go watch Saltburn. It's streaming on Prime, and come back. This is written and directed by Emerald Fennel. She did, Promising Young Woman. She also wrote the first season of Killing Eve, which I think is the best season.
That was the best season by far.
Or did she write the second season? I'm sorry. She wrote the second season, which was not as good as the first season.
It's not as good as the first season. It was fine.
It's starring Barry Keoghan, Jacob Elordi, Rosamund Pike, Richard E. Grant, Allison Oliver. I looked this one up. Archie Madekwe. I wanted to make sure I got it right. And Carey Mulligan as poor dear Pamela, the friend that comes to stay with them and then, meets a tragic end. I already know the answer, but Margot, did you see this in the theater?
Nope, my streak is still going.
Good.
I have not been to a movie theater since before COVID. I have been scared away.
Well, it was streaming very quickly on Amazon Prime. I didn't know it was coming to Amazon Prime, so I actually ran out and saw it in the theater. And I have to say, it was it's definitely my favorite movie going experience last year, in that the crowd had feelings about what they were seeing. There was a lot of shrieking, a lot of, oh no, and a lot of, what, in the theater. A friend of mine described this as a talented Mr. Ripley meets Cruel Intentions, which I think is very, very accurate. And people always mention Brideshead Revisited, which I've never seen.
Yeah, it's that. And it's also, a really old reference for a lot of you is Down and Out in Beverly Hills, which is Nick Nolte. It's a Paul Mazursky movie. And it's, I think, based on a French film, but it's like an unhoused person winds up in Beverly Hills, moves in, tells all kinds of bullshit stories, and wins over the family. Like, but he's a manipulator.
Yeah.
And there's a daughter who has an eating disorder, and
oh my God, I should have watched Down and Out in Beverly Hills before we recorded this. I didn't put any of this together.
It's just one of my favorite movies, and I worked with Paul Mazursky, so I like some of his films really stick out for me, and that's one of them.
Well, that is good to know, and now I need to rewatch Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
It would be a good discussion.
Yeah, we rarely cover new movies on the podcast, so I've usually lived with a movie a little bit longer before we talk about it. So I'm hoping my thoughts aren't super half-baked, but I think it's worth talking about for sure.
Agreed.
Yes, and a lot of, and I went back to work this past week, and like people are asking me if I've seen Saltburn because they know I love movies. And I'll be honest right up front, I really, really like this movie. It was one of my favorite movies of the year. I put it on my top 10. And then I share with people at work, like, yeah, I really liked it. And their reactions are always like, I thought it was stupid. I thought it was bad. And
which I don't think it's stupid. I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
I think it's other things.
Yes.
But I mean, I can't say this is a pleasurable watch. I mean, there are very cringeworthy moments here.
Yes.
But the acting is incredible.
Yes.
And Jacob, what's his last name? Elordi. He also plays Elvis and Priscilla, which I'm talking about for my other show tomorrow, Book versus Movie. So I'm all about him, that 6'5" handsome devil. I'm all into him.
Dude, I get it. I also would follow him to Saltburn and drink his bathwater.
I would lie about everything too, just to get into that house.
I wouldn't really drink his bathwater.
Cuckoo. He doesn't even. It's slurp it. Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. I was kind of. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that I was getting that reaction from people where they're like, I think it's bad, I think it's stupid, or it's senseless. And I was like, I don't think it's any of those things. But, you know, not every movie is for everybody. And this movie is very divisive. And it's certainly not one I recommend to people, you know, where they're like, what should I watch? And I'm like, I wouldn't recommend Saltburn to my mom, you know, but I might recommend it to you. Because I'm like, Margot can handle this.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's definitely intense.
It's intense, yeah.
So we're going to go through it. Let's go through it beat by beat. It opens with Oliver Quick. Such a movie character name.
It's always Oliver Twist. Immediately goes through my head. Yeah, it's very Dickensian. And and the actor is incredible.
Yeah, Barry.
Plays him.
Yeah, Barry Keoghan?
Keoghan, I think.
Keoghan is how I spelled it phonetically for myself after looking it up on how do you pronounce in YouTube.
It's Irish. I mean, that's what we say, Keoghan.
Yeah, and I will say that, and I think I told you this before, that when in a past episode when I talked about Saltburn, like him in this movie was like a holy shit. Who the fuck is that kind of performance for me? Like I only knew him from the Banshees of Inisherin. So this is obviously a very different performance. And so I was like, I didn't know he was capable of this, like this kind of performance, and made me, and then like make me also like strangely attracted to him. I don't understand. I
he's
have
gorgeous. Let's be clear.
I have very weird feelings.
He's gorgeous.
He is.
And he is like this blank slate.
He is, yes.
This person who walks in and it's like everyone is more charismatic than he is, and they're rich, and they're at Oxford, and he's like a scholarship student, and he feels lesser than and not invited to the cool kids parties, and then he gets in with the cool kids group.
Yes, it's set in...
And that's a feeling we can all understand,
Yeah,
I think.
for sure. We all want to fit in. Or, you know, it's set in 2006, by the way, so there's not a lot of cell phones around here and things like that. Not rich. Apparently not rich. Oliver is a scholarship kid at Oxford, and he is, like, instantly smitten with Felix, and that's Jacob Elordi. Elordi. I'm just going to call him Felix. And we get it because he is very handsome. And he also meets Farley. I guess that's how you pronounce his name, right? Farley. And he's like another rich kid that has the same tutor as Oliver. And that scene is so awkward. Like the tutor's like, I was an admirer of your mother's. It was like so weird. It's so weird. But Oliver's very, very smart. He like is kind of hanging around this other smart kid that he really doesn't want to hang out with because the guy's kind of a dick.
Well, I think the guy has issues.
Yeah.
Let's just say, yeah.
But he's kind of an Oliver. Like he's really, really smart. He's obviously not as rich as everyone else at Oxford. And he wants to pal around with Oliver. And Oliver only has eyes for Felix. And he comes across Felix, who has a flat tire. And Oliver is kind enough to offer his bike. And like Felix is just like indebted to him. So he offers, he buys him a drink at the pub. And there's a whole thing where Oliver's trying to pay for the shots and he can't cover it. So Felix comes over and pretends that he dropped this money so he could pay for it. Like Felix seems to be very kind.
He's decent.
I will say to Oliver, like he's shitty to a lot of the women that are around.
Well,
because he's a young, hot dude who just wants to fuck everybody.
He's like a 21-year-old hot dude. Yeah, he's tall. He more than fits that, barrier. I mean, yeah, exactly. He's a typical asshole, but he has some kindness in him. He can he doesn't like, he's unlike some of his friends, doesn't like to embarrass people with his wealth. He doesn't, he tries to downplay it.
Yes. And he starts hanging around with Felix. He likes being around him. And I'm sorry, Oliver starts telling Felix that his father and mother have addiction problems. At one point he says his father died, and Felix has nothing but empathy for him and invites him to come to Saltburn with him for the summer, which is his family's gorgeous castle estate in the country, like you do, like you have. And, and then he gives him a tour of the house. Tell me, am I jumping too far ahead, by the way? Did we want to talk more about the school?
No. We're good.
Okay.
We're good. Yeah.
We just see them hanging around school together and they start bonding basically. So he goes to Saltburn. I love the tour that Felix gives him around the house. Dead Relly. Dead Relly. He's like, I accidentally fingered my cousin here. And they're staying in adjoining rooms where they're sharing a bathroom, and it's also very, I guess, formal there. So they dress for dinner, and there's all these customs that Oliver would never know because he doesn't come from this kind of money.
Right. And the butler picks him out pretty quickly.
Yes.
As someone who's poor.
Yes.
Who's not our kind dear. And Felix, is that his name? Sorry.
Yeah, the hunky one?
Yeah. The hunky one, Felix, is provides him a dinner jacket to wear, and I was like, oh, I could have brought one with me. He kind of knows he doesn't have a jacket,
right?
He does, but he doesn't want to embarrass him, so he's just kind of, which is it's very kind. It's a nice thing to do, but yeah. And then the daughter is.
The actress is Alison Oliver, and she's playing Venetia, I think is how you pronounce it. And she's clearly a troubled person with an eating disorder. And she's just they say she's just lounging around the house waiting to be spied by Oliver because she doesn't know what he looks like or who he is. She just wants to make an impression, I guess. And we meet Rosamund Pike, who's a treasure.
Oh, she's so good.
As their mother. She's so fucking funny in this movie, but she's such an asshole.
She's a huge asshole, but she thinks she's really generous.
Yes.
And I love it. They have this family friend that's staying with them.
Yes, and that's Carey Mulligan.
And you could, that's Carey Mulligan?
Yes.
Okay, I was like, where the hell was Carey Mulligan? Oh God, she's so good.
She's
and
so
everything.
good at. She was in Promising Young Woman, a movie which, by the way, people have also requested for, and we will do at some point.
Yeah, that's a tough subject one. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, we'll do it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's
She's the friend that's staying with them, and like Rosamund Pike's character Elsbeth, I think is how you pronounce it, describes her as like, oh, she's so dull. You know, she's so dull, but she's so beautiful, and you know, you would never know she was such a wet blanket to look at her because she's so stylish. Like, just she has so many good lines in this movie.
They bring her in because she's going through some kind of tough time, and then she's been there for months, and they're growing bored with her. And you could tell she's really trying to be like, hey, I'm a cool guest. You want me around. And as soon as Oliver shows up, she's being replaced on the couch. Like, yeah, you could go now. You can go get us some tea.
And this is their thing. Like the sister Venetia says at one point, like, you're so much better than the last one. Like, clearly people bring strays around to Saltburn and they play with them until they get bored. And then the dad gives them money and sends them away. And the dad is Richard E. Grant, who is also a treasure and great in everything he does. They're all hanging out together. You know, Rosamund Pike again, like, you have such beautiful eyes. Like, basically like, I'm glad you're not ugly because I abhor everything that's ugly. Like, I love her so much in this movie. She's hilarious, but again, her character's such an asshole. Then they cut to the next day and they're all like naked sunbathing out in a field, and they're like, you're not allowed to wear clothes in this field. And like Oliver takes off his shorts and clearly he has a big dick because like they're like, ooh, what a twist. And you know, we'll get plenty of dick shots later, so we'll know for ourselves. And then we get this like very like, by the way, the film looks beautiful.
It's incredible. It's beautifully shot.
Yes.
I totally want to hang out at this place.
Yes. It looks gorgeous.
It really, really does.
And we get this gorgeous montage of them like having good times. They're all dressed up, playing tennis and drinking champagne all the time and just laying around this lake and being gorgeous and rich, basically. And then let's see. Oh, and here's where things start to kind of take a turn. So Oliver and Felix are sharing a bathroom, and Oliver is spying on Felix while he's in the tub, and he's in there jerking it. And he gets out, and that's when Oliver comes in, and he's hanging around, and Felix is like, the bathroom's all yours. And Oliver gets in the tub and starts drinking the water, like slurps it out of the drain. And it's a thing.
It's a thing, yeah.
In the theater, people lost their fucking minds. Lost it. It was like
or...
yes, like it was like the scene in Airplane where they're like getting crash positions and everyone's like, like everyone starts running around. Like everyone lost their minds in the theater, which was so funny to me because it's like, it's, you know, I'm like, that seems icky to me, but whatever, you do you, if that's your thing. I don't want to kink shame anybody, but the reaction there are a couple of scenes in this movie where the reactions turned into that scene from Airplane where people just started losing their shit. And this was one of them. I don't know what else to say about that except that happened.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's a thing that happened.
I don't know what to add. I'm trying to but I'm
yes.
like, it is what it was.
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like this is the scene where people are now deciding, am I up for this movie or am I not up for this movie?
And I can see people on Amazon, like at that moment, being like, all right, this is just the beginning of something that's more intense here.
Yes, because after that is when we really get like a totally like a different Oliver. Like it's almost like he's like eating up some of Felix. You know, he's like,
well, we're talking about eating up.
Yeah, we'll get there in a second. Because I feel like after that is where we get this different Oliver. Like he starts, the eyes are like more intense. He goes out to like join for dinner, and only Elsbeth is there, the Rosamund Pike character. And he says, like, it must be so hard for Venetia to have a mother like you because you're so fucking beautiful. And he, like, looks her up and down. And she's like, oh my, you know. And she gets this great line that I think is so funny about, like, I was a lesbian once. You know, it's all too wet for me in the end. Men are so lovely and dry.
Which is, he just drank a bunch of water, but okay. Of your son's spunk in the water, but
yes. Okay. And then, you know, again, the whole thing where she's like, Pamela's like such a wet blanket, you know, all this stuff. And, you know, the next scene, like Venetia is outside Oliver's window. She's wearing like a see-through nightgown and she's just lounging outside his window. And he comes down and, it's also revealed to him that Venetia has an eating disorder. So he goes down there, he's talking to her, he comments on her food eating and like, you're so gorgeous, you need to take care of yourself. And so tomorrow you're going to eat and then you're going to stay at the table. Do you understand? And he puts the moves on her and she's on her period and she tries to stop him. And then he says, lucky for you, I'm a vampire. And we get that scene, which is another one where everyone in the theater
I can only imagine
lost their minds again, like crash positions, everybody. You know, and it's so funny because I don't know, it's like a natural bodily function, and I assume that lesbians deal with this stuff all the time, so it's probably not as
it's
shocking to them.
It's not what we see in a movie.
Yes,
this is a little unusual. You have to give people a little bit of grace here, because I was even too like, oh, they're really going to go for it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you know, I also in the theater was like, oh my god, like they're going for it. Like, things like this are not acknowledged in movies. Like, even like him jerking off in the tub. Like, that doesn't happen in movies very often. I feel like a lot of movies are pretty sexless. Now, last week we did Basic Instinct, and that one's not sexless. That was a humpathon. Yeah, it was a humpathon. Is a great word to describe it. And I feel like modern movies now are pretty sexless. Like, they don't have this sort of thing in them. And
this movie's very horny.
So horny. Oh my God, Margot, you're just on fire with this. It's a humpathon. It's horny. Like, it totally is. And like, again, going back to like, you know, him like kind of drinking up Felix, and now he's eating out Venetia. Like, he's literally consuming these people. And, you know, and then the next day, like, Farley sees them, by the way, and he's like, you stupid little boy. You know, smoke his cigarette. And
everyone smokes in this movie,
everybody.
Too. I gave up smoking a long time ago, but these movies are like, oh yeah, they used to be fun. Just to lay around, smoke, and drink. Ugh.
I was never a smoker, but I see the appeal. I get it. It's just not for me. So they cut the next day, and Venetia is sitting at the breakfast table, and she's eating, like actually eating, which is
she's eating carbs.
She's eating carbs, and there's like, I took a video of it because I'm going to post it on our channels. There's a scene where like, so she's eating, and he's looking at her with his like serious, sexy eyes, and he just pushes his croissant towards her, and she takes it and she like shoves the whole thing in her mouth. And I was like, why is that so hot?
When was the last time any of us enjoyed a carb?
Yes,
guilt-free.
That must be it. Maybe I need someone like an Oliver to come and like push a croissant towards me and make me eat it.
Here's a bear claw. I dare you to eat that and enjoy it.
Go ahead and eat this apple fritter from Starbucks, Sonia. I will.
What was that, Cinnabon? I used to love those.
Oh my God, those are so sweet, rolls. But they smell so good. No, I love
worked at the mall.
I
It's
love
like
the
mall food.
It is mall food. I used to love the apple fritters at Starbucks. Those great big,
Yeah.
or as my friend Deirdre used to call them, apple critters. She didn't know she had the name wrong, and I always just let her pronounce it wrong. And then one day I finally corrected her and laughed because I'm a jerk. Okay, so then, Felix now knows that Oliver is hooking up with Venetia, and he doesn't like it. And Oliver lies to cover it up. So now we know Oliver's a liar. He says that Venetia threw herself at him, and he turned her down, but he didn't say anything because he didn't want to embarrass her. And he says that Farley's lying about him, that they weren't out there doing it. And, I feel bad for her because the next day she's out there waiting for Oliver. She wants a repeat performance, and he never shows. So,
and Farley doesn't trust him. And Farley, we should say, is multiracial, biracial.
Yeah.
And he's from America.
Yeah. And
so they all kind of treat him like a little bit as an other.
Yes.
And he does not appreciate Oliver, encroaching on his territory, which is how he sees it. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a huge dinner party the next night, and Venetia, she's sitting next to she's sitting next to Oliver, and she says, like, I know that Felix warned you off of me, the idea that he doesn't like to share his toys, even ones he doesn't want to play with anymore. And then he knows, Felix is starting to get bored. And she's warning him, like, he doesn't want to play with you anymore. Then we get like a super weird karaoke sing where an old man is singing "Get Low" by Florida. And Oliver makes a move on Farley, and he's just like, "Or you could fuck me." I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, the scene with Farley and Oliver in bed. Let's move to that. That's where I was super uncomfortable. That scene goes on for a really long time.
Yes.
It's super intense.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure I know exactly what's happening, but I think I have a pretty decent idea because it's shot in the dark and it's a lot of code. But I was like, holy shit. Like, he's just trying to get everybody.
Yes.
And if you're not going to be on his side, he's going to threaten you.
Yes.
And he's going to make you uncomfortable just to let you know, I can kill you if I feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, he just shows up in Farley's bed and makes him say, like, I'm going to behave before fucking him. Basically. Not basically, he does.
Yeah.
And just coincidentally, the next day, Farley is then accused of trying to steal and sell things. Which
to Sotheby's.
Yes, which we are not shown, like, that he did that. We are not shown that Oliver did that, but we're starting to piece things together at this point. Because if you haven't seen the movie, if this is your first time watching it, it's weird to watch it a second time, which is what I did today. Just watched it a second time, knowing everything I know about the end and watching it this time. It was a very different experience. It was still very entertaining. So Farley is accused of stealing, and they kick him out of the house. What else do we get? Oh, they're all hanging around the pool or the lake again, and Elizabeth is telling about how she used to hang out with Blur and Oasis back in the day because she was a model and she's so beautiful and cool. And then she just casually mentions that Pamela died. She'll do anything for attention. She's such a bitch. And okay, then they decide they're going to throw a huge party for Oliver's birthday. They're going to invite like 200 people. None of them know Oliver, but sure.
None of them. And they're like, and bring your friends. And this is where it gets intense.
Yes.
I love this part. Like, he's like, oh, cool, a party. And then Felix says, hey, bud, I heard from your mom.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to talk to you. Let's go meet your mom. Let's go see your mom. He's like, no, I'm okay. That's okay. That's all right. They're driving. They're driving for a while.
Yes.
And then Oliver is having just this meltdown. Like, please don't take me. Please don't take me. They show up at the house. And not only is his mother alive and well and not, heroin addicted
Yes.
or whatever. His father's alive.
Yes.
And he told everybody his father was dead. And they look like nice, normal people.
Yes.
They miss their son.
Yeah. And he lies to them too, right? He's just like, he's a top scholar at Oxford. He's on the rowing team. He's in plays. You know, he lies to his parents too. And Felix is just like, what the fuck? And this time on the rewatch, because there's a whole thing about like Felix and Oliver kind of, back when they're still at school, they kind of have a little, I don't know, like, I think Felix was starting to feel a little smothered by Oliver. And that's when Oliver does the like, my dad just died, and like kind of works his way back into Felix's life. And then Felix introduces him to this like family tradition of writing a name on a rock, and then you throw the rock in the lake. And Oliver like writes dad on the rock, but he never throws it in the lake. He just like drops it.
I don't even remember that part. Sorry.
And it's just something I caught this time around, and I just wondered if maybe he didn't throw it in the lake on purpose because his dad's not really dead. But that whole scene is so cringy when he's at his
begging
parents.
him.
Yeah.
Right. And when they leave, he's like begging, like, this is Felix's big mistake, because he says, don't worry, I won't tell anybody. Because he also just doesn't want a problem. He doesn't want to look like the bad guy ever.
Yes.
That's part of what he's like. He's always so nice. I'm like, yeah, but he also just doesn't want to bother. Like, he just wants to always be seen as the hero.
Yeah. Well, also, it'll look bad for him. He'll look like a stupid asshole that he brought this guy who lied to him back to the house.
But he should have told his parents. Mm-hmm. Like, he should have said to him, don't worry, we're cool. And then gone right to the parents and got him the fuck out of there. Because once this Oliver just loses it at this point. Because he's got nothing to lose here.
Correct. And the party is that night. It's a bananas party. It's like a Midsummer Nights themed party.
Sex party.
Yeah, sex party basically. And things are very not subtle at the party. Felix is wearing wings. He's like an angel basically, and Oliver's running around with these horns. It's not subtle. All these people singing to Oliver and they don't even know his name. And then Farley's back too, because he's like, this is my home. Like, even if, I don't know, everyone's starting to call out Oliver. Like,
yeah,
Felix knows the truth. The family's going to know the truth. Farley he doesn't know the truth, but he knows that Oliver's not who he says he is. And Oliver is like spying on Felix the whole night. He's trying to talk to him, and Felix is just like, fuck off. And then he, picks up one of his random girls and takes her to the center of this big maze that's at the Saltburn estate. And he's giving her the business, if you will.
He's boning her.
And here comes Oliver to like be a boner killer and ruin it. And they have an argument, and Oliver is just like begging him. Like, I just gave you what you wanted, like everyone else does. Like, he just wants to stay in his life so bad. And it doesn't work, to say the least.
No, and I think it's actually a really interesting shot, and I liked it. It goes right to the next day.
Yeah.
And Oliver's getting out of bed, and he looks tired and whatever. And everyone is in freak out mode because they can't find Felix.
Yeah.
And so they're going through the lake, the pond or whatever, and they're looking all around the house, and everyone's panicked except for Rosamund Pike and Richard E. Grant. They're trying to act like it's normal.
Yes.
But there's cops. I mean, the place is a mess because they just had the party.
It looks terrible.
It looks terrible. I mean, it's going to take weeks to clean. And then we have this maze. And then in the middle of the maze, they find Felix with his wings. We don't know exactly what happened to him.
Right.
So we just kind of see, it's an interesting shot. But Richard E. Grant is first like,
yeah,
oh, come on, son, come to the house. You just need to warm up. They don't know why he's dead. He just looks dead.
Yes.
And the parents are trying to make things as normal as possible as the coroner's coming by and taking their son away, because these people just don't deal with reality.
No.
Well, at all. And Farley's like, I know something's going on with you. And Oliver basically says, to the father, I saw Farley doing coke all over that dance floor. I wonder if basically did Felix have an overdose? And so Richard E. Grant really freaks out and sends out, he's ready to like kill Farley. Then what happens?
Oh, then we get, well, and that whole, like, they're sitting down to lunch just pretending. It's so fucking sad. Like,
right.
The wheels are off the train, if you will. Like, they are just falling apart. They kick out Farley. Then we get the funeral, and we get what is now a very infamous grave scene.
Yes, the humping of the grave scene.
Again,
which I'm sure in the movie theater, people lost their... And actually, this one I kind of understand the most. Like, this one is the least freaky to me.
Assume crash positions, everybody.
I mean, he's just fucking the dirt. It's not as bad as, like, the pie in American Pie. I mean, but he really wants to commune.
Yeah, it does. It goes for it, because it starts with him. He's crying. He takes off his shirt. He's laying on the grave, and then down come the pants, and he's fully fucking a grave. And apparently, this was the actor's suggestion. And good on you, Barry.
Did he have to wear a dick prosthetic?
You know what?
Does he?
That's a good question, because I've read two different stories. I read one that it was, and I read one that it wasn't. So I don't know, to be honest.
That has to feel weird to wear one of those, wouldn't it?
I would think so.
I think it'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, it'd be pretty uncomfortable to fuck the dirt, too.
You put some water in there. You just put some pudding or something.
It's just like warm apple pie, Margot.
It really is. I'm the least freaked out about that.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein? Her mother died when she was young, and the first time she had sex, she was laying on her mother's grave. And she was like weird. 13 or 14. Yeah.
That's weird.
Well, she wrote Frankenstein. She invented science fiction, so she's an extraordinary person.
Yes. And that's an extraordinary first time, to say the least.
Do you remember your first time? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. I do want to say Barry Keoghan, or Keoghan, he's phenomenal in this movie.
He really is. And
fearless.
More than holds his own.
Yes.
With other people. And his character is like, which is, it is something like with Matt Damon. I felt like when he was trying to be invisible and playing invisible, I could see him playing invisible, if that makes any kind of sense.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy, he really does play invisible really well. And then all of a sudden, like a little tweak in his face.
Yes.
And he's like evil and scary as shit.
Yes.
Like, it's a lot. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about him that's like, I believe he wants to fuck everybody and kill everybody and marry everyone. Like, he wants to do all of it. All the things.
I just think he's amazing. He's phenomenal in this movie. I'm a very big fan now at this point, and I'm going to start going back and watching things and check out whatever he does next, because I love it when an actor fucking goes for it. He's fucking going for it. He's not afraid.
They're swinging for the fences. They're taking it to that, they're taking it to 11. This goes to 11.
This goes up to 11.
Well, it's one louder, isn't it? You need to do Spinal Tap one day.
We absolutely will. I just have so much respect for that. I'm super impressed with him. I don't know. There's something about it. Just reminds me of like a Nicolas Cage, where like Nicolas Cage is not afraid to fucking go for it. Like
he'll eat a bug.
He'll eat a bug. He'll turn it up to 11. He doesn't give a fuck, and that's what I liked about
my
this.
hand, my bride.
If you haven't seen Dream Scenario yet, by the way, he's very, very good in that, Nicolas Cage.
I'm like 20 or 30 movies behind in my Nick Cage movies. He puts out too many.
Oh my God. He puts out like 8 movies a year. Dude works.
Him and Travolta. Like, I'm seriously behind because they are both like not stopping.
Yeah. They like to work, and they do a lot of movies that I don't see. But Dream Scenario is really good. And I think it's for rent now on whatever channel you prefer to rent, but it's very, very good. But back to this. So he fucks a grave. Where were we? As one does at a funeral. And then
he never got a handy from the guy, nothing. This is his opportunity.
Yeah, I did read that apparently there was a scene filmed in which they kiss, but they decided to cut that out. And that was probably the right call.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think this makes as much sense as this movie makes, I guess. Then we get to Venetia, who's now, she's like laying in the tub. She's in the shared bathroom.
She is so good in this scene.
She's so good. And she is now she's really drunk, by the way, but she's also finds it strange that that Oliver is grieving so hard for Felix after only 6 months. And I love when she says, like, I don't think you're a spider. I think you're a moth drawn to shiny things. Like, she's really, really good in this scene. And how she talks about, and she, again, she says, you ate him right up and you licked the fucking plate. She's so good in this scene.
Yeah. And she's dead.
And then she supposedly dies by suicide.
By suicide, which we should have, warned about, because this movie it's very intense. This movie is intense, in case you haven't gotten the memo.
Yes.
And so, who did we lose so far? So Farley's going to be gone.
Yeah.
The original house guest, Casey. I could not even believe that was
Carey Mulligan. Carey Mulligan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Carey Mulligan. Felix is gone.
Venetia is gone.
Venetia's now gone.
Yeah, Farley's been kicked out.
Kicked out.
Yes.
So Richard E. Grant is saying he's like, how much money do you need? Like, you seriously, like, how do we get, because Rosamund Pike is like, please stay.
Yes.
Please stay. And Richard E. Grant's like, he comes up for air, basically, like, this person is the common problem. And ever since he showed up, people keep fucking dying, and this is not good for me. So he basically gives him some money to make him go away.
Yes.
And then we fast forward. And it's interesting how they show it. It's like, now it's become a thing since the pandemic. Like, you mark time by whether or not people are wearing masks on their face. And so you see masks on the face, and it's like 15 years later. I don't know. I can't do math.
Yeah, it's 2022. So we're looking at, 16 years later, maybe?
Yeah.
Sure. Let's say that.
I don't do math, but Rosamund Pike. Oliver is reading the obituary for Richard E. Grant's character, and he just so happens to be
a coincidence
at this little cafe where Rosamund Pike has just moved to this town, and she's like bought a little apartment because she's now alone and doesn't have anyone. Her husband's gone. All her kids are gone. Everybody's gone. She can't be in Saltburn by herself. And she happens to run into Oliver. And then and they're just chatting. And then he kind of worms his way back into her affection.
Yes.
And she says, why don't you come to Saltburn and we'll hang out? Let's do this together. He goes out there. And then the very next scene, she's like hooked up to all these machines.
Yeah. And it turns out that the scene at the very beginning where he's talking about, like, was I in love with him? I definitely wasn't in love with him. All these things. It's almost like he's being interrogated. I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, he's being interrogated by the police or something like that. He's smoking, he's confessing these things. And then at the end, we see that he's saying these things at her deathbed. Basically, she's hooked up to a million machines, and he's saying, like, the last couple of months have been the happiest of my life. Too bad you got ill. And it's like she's next.
And that's when he confesses to all the things.
Yes.
So he starts with how he got into Oxford, and then he saw Felix, and then he's the one who put poked the hole in his bicycle tire so that he was able to then rescue Felix by giving him his bike. And then he talks about he took advantage. He killed Felix. He poisoned him.
Yeah, he fakes being broke so that Felix feels sorry for him. He frames Farley, for selling stuff. Yeah, and the whole thing about like giving, Felix the bottle is so sad.
And basically he's been playing a long game.
Yes.
He's been waiting for Richard E. Grant to die and then move in on Rosamund Pike, and then he moves in with her, and then all of a sudden she gets sick, and then you see him and she's signing away all of her papers to him. And so now he owns Saltburn.
Yes.
So how does he celebrate? He dances naked around the house.
Yes, he does.
Because he put in 16 years of work to get this shit.
Yeah, he's tired. It's time to celebrate. Time to, dance to Murder on the Dance Floor and be naked and do coke. Why not? The stuff where he is confessing to Elsbeth about what he's done and how he like unhooks the machine and like pulls that tube out of her. It's so gruesome. It is fucking gruesome. And he's also just still like, I wasn't in love with him. I think he was, right?
Absolutely, he was in love with him.
Yes.
That's the biggest bullshit of all. He's just dancing around and trying to justify things for himself.
Yes. He as she's like dying, he's like, I hated all of you. You made it so easy. Like, and it's definitely got that like eat the rich kind of vibe. But ultimately, I think like he was really, really in love with this guy and he didn't love him back. And so he took everything. And it's fucked up.
He's manipulative. He's a creep.
Yeah, he's a super creep and just fucking wipes out this family. Just like eliminates their bloodline completely. And then it's like murder on the dance floor. You better not kill the groove.
How quickly do you think he like burns through that money? Like, and he's going to need another con.
Good question.
Because he doesn't have any friends. How can you have friends when you're like this?
I don't know.
But he's going to he'll go into society. I was thinking of this, like, what do you do now? Because he's not old, he's young.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, he's going to get bored eventually. He's going to want parties. He's going to want people. And then he's somebody that likes to manipulate.
Yeah. Oh, he'll just do it to someone else.
Right. I mean, I wonder, like, are there other movies? And then, like, what are those sex scenes going to be like? 'Cause it's like,
they're going to have to dial them up to 12.
Shit. Once you do grave fucking, it's pretty...
Oh my god, this movie's so bananas. I mean, when people say they don't like it, I get it. But
it's a lot.
It's a lot. But I don't
it doesn't go down easy.
For sure. But
it's testing your boundaries.
I don't think it's about nothing. When people are like, I think it's nothing, it's not about anything. I disagree. I think it is about a lot of things.
It's a satire.
Yeah.
And it's a very British movie because it's definitely about a caste system and who fits in and who doesn't fit in. And, lazy rich people pretending like they are entitled to things, but they're embarrassed by it at the same time as, that's always ripe for satire. I don't think it's about nothing.
No.
I think that I understand if someone's deeply uncomfortable, but I think sometimes you got to make yourself uncomfortable. That's how you grow in life. That's how you, instead of watching the same shit over and over again, it's just asking a little more of you. And that's what I kind of like about it.
Me too.
Would I watch this just any old day or time? No. I mean, there's certain scenes I liked, but
the grave,
some of it,
the tub.
Yeah, some of it. Absolutely. He and Farley fucking in the bed. He's like, I was like, what is going on? Oh my God. It's like, it's a lot, but the performances are excellent.
Yes.
Everybody's beautiful. The house is beautiful. I would totally want to go to that party.
Absolutely. Just for the people watching.
Yeah, I would be. You and I'd be to the side talking shit about people.
You could wear wings and I'll wear the horns. And we'll sit
Yeah.
there in the corner and be like, oh my God, did you see? Blah, blah, blah. I heard he drank his tub water. What?
We'll get that karaoke machine and sing the cheesiest, corniest shit alive.
That would be so fun. Oh, Mandy, you came.
We would bring that vibe to a screeching halt. They'd kick us out and we'd laugh ourselves silly.
We would last 2 days at Saltburn.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 days. There's also, I just think there's also something to the fact that Oliver actually has a nice family. Like, he has a nice family, has 2 parents and sisters, and they're clearly well off. They're not poor. They have a lovely home. They seem like, and Oliver, it's like not good enough. He still wants what Felix has.
I gotta say, there's a scene that I really like. I saw, this is my second time watching it too. I saw it just before Christmas. Woo, such a Christmas movie. But he orders eggs, and you get eggs in your sides basically, and they'll make your eggs to order there. And the butler clearly fucking hates him. And he's like, well, how do you want your eggs? He goes, well, over easy, and light.
Fried over easy, yeah.
Fried over easy, which is a very delicate thing. And they bring them back, and obviously they're undercooked.
Yes.
But he's also obviously like really making a dramatic thing about, this is just not, it's not good enough. You're going to have to take it back. Sorry.
Yes.
But he's just also doing a little power play with the butler there.
Yeah, I actually wonder if maybe the movie could have benefited from one more scene with the butler and him at the end. But because they do make it a point to say that he's still at Saltburn.
Yeah, he's still there. He hasn't changed.
So I don't know is he still there when this guy's dancing naked around
It would
the
have
house?
been funny if they had a shot of him, like, he handles like the bubble machine or something. Like he's dancing around, or he's got to do something like completely, depletes his last bit of self-esteem.
Yes. I really like this movie. I will probably watch it again, not right away. Like, I need a little break. But I think that there is a lot going on here, and I just think the performances are so, so good. And again, I don't think it's about nothing.
I bet you that the 19-year-olds out there, like teenagers, love this fucking movie.
For sure, right? This is going to be their Cruel Intentions. They're probably going to watch it over and over and over, even though this is very much a movie not for teenagers.
No, but it freaks out like the Gen Xers or the millennials or something. Like, it freaks out the older generation, and so they're going to be like, "This is ours."
Yes,
it's weird and it's ours, and I say, good for you.
Yeah, I also I don't know, the idea of how much he's so in love with Felix. And
who wouldn't be?
Seriously. But then, like, he doesn't love him back. So he kills him, and he just takes everything. Like, he destroys the evidence, basically. Like, just destroys his family, takes his fucking mansion, like, takes everything. It's also it's a revenge movie too. It's, I loved you, you didn't love me back. He fucking burns it all down. It's a revenge movie.
So part 2, I'm pitching this.
Okay.
The butler takes over the house for some reason and kicks him out, and he has to start over again. So he gets like a great scene where he can dance around naked around Saltburn, and then he just goes to the south of France or something and starts this shit all over again.
I'd watch it.
Yeah.
I'd watch it. I think that he's so amazing in this movie. I don't, by the way, I don't think the movie really needs a sequel, but I would totally watch it. I would watch it.
I'll pitch some ideas for it if they're ever interested.
Saltburn 2, TOO. Something like that.
Even saltier.
Yeah, even saltier. Saltier burn.
You burnt Saltburn.
You burnt. I would watch that. Or he digs up Felix, and it's like a Weekend at Bernie's situation.
God damn it.
Honestly, when he started laying around on the grave, I was like, oh my God, is he going to dig up the grave? I did wonder that. I'm kind of glad he just fucked the ground, because I don't know if I want to watch people fuck dead bodies. It's not that kind of movie. I read that Timothée Chalamet was originally who the director wanted for Oliver. I don't think he has it in him for this kind of part. Maybe I'm wrong. But
I think he'd be good, but I think it's better when it's somebody that I'm not that familiar with.
Yeah.
Because he blends in better.
Yeah. It's like Edward Norton in Primal Fear. Like you kind of needed some, not that people didn't know who Barry Keoghan is, like they do, but I didn't know he was capable of this.
It's when that's the thing with Matt Damon. I think he's actually really good in The Talented Mr. Ripley, but there's just that little bit of him that I still saw in the other movies he did before. Yeah, that it was hard for me to buy him.
Right.
I don't know. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
We gotta wrap this up.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to hear the top 10 movies of 2023?
Yeah, I do.
We've never done such a new movie before. Okay, number 10 is the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie.
Awesome.
So good. Number 9, Sound of Freedom, the child trafficking movie.
Didn't see it.
I didn't see it. It sounds. I'll pass. Number 8, John Wick Chapter 4.
I saw it,
which I just saw last week and really, really liked. Thought it was very entertaining. Number 7, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Mania is a movie that came out last year.
Never saw it.
Never
I'm sure
saw
it's
it.
For free on Disney, and I didn't even check it.
Nope, gonna pass. Number 6, The Little Mermaid.
I didn't see it, but I will see it.
I didn't see it either. I will at some point. Number 5, Oppenheimer.
Saw it, liked it, fine.
Yeah, I understand why other people really, really like it. I like it. It's fine. Number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Won't see it because what you told me about it.
It made me cry. That's why. There's animal stuff in it. I can't. Okay. Number 3, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I am going to watch. I will
watch it.
I haven't yet. Number 2, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Stop it.
Super Mario Brothers. Look, you know what? I think I just missed the Nintendo world. Super Mario Brothers is not my thing. So, but anyway, that movie made a shit ton of money. And then the number 1 movie is just this little movie called Barbie. Probably never heard of it, which I love, obviously.
Do you want to hear the top 10 songs?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, this isn't for the year because I don't know any of them, to be honest with you. But I picked it for the week that this movie came out, which came out Christmas week this last year. So number 10 was... Wait, hold on.
I'm not going to know any of these songs.
No, you will, because they're all Christmas movies.
Okay.
Christmas songs, excuse me, because of the streaming thing nowadays. Number 10, Dean Martin, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow.
I have heard of this one.
Number 9, Tate McRae, Greedy. I don't think I know this.
Oh, wait, I don't know that one.
Number 8, The Ronettes, Sleigh Ride.
Yes, come on, classic.
Number 7, Andy Williams, It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year.
Yes, obviously.
Number 6, Jack Harlow, Lovin' on Me.
Oh, actually, I know this one. I know that one. Thank you, TikTok.
Number 5, Burl Ives, A Holly Jolly Christmas.
Yeah, classic.
Good song. Number 4, Wham! Last Christmas.
Yes! Woo! My favorite.
Number 3, Bobby Helms, Jingle Bell Rock.
Good one.
Number 2, Brenda Lee, Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree.
Also.
And the number 1 song, Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Obviously, she's the queen of Christmas now. I love that she's
Brenda.
I love that she's leaned in on that. Good for her.
We all need a hook, Sonia. That's what show business is all about.
What else are you dorking out about, my friend?
So I saw something on Netflix today, and I'm kind of fascinated by the plane crash in the Andes Mountains with the rugby team.
I saw that.
And there was a movie called Alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's dubbed in English. I don't know if it was filmed in South America or not. I think it's originally in Spanish, but it's called Society of Snow, and it's told from the point of view of the survivors and what happened to them. And I was not expecting. I got so moved by this. I was crying at the end. I was super like, what these poor boys, they were young.
Yeah.
They were very, very young, like 17, 18 years old. What they went through and how they managed to make it out of this horrible situation. It was just, I mean, it's so moving. And I think CGI and special effects have come to the point that you see their appearance and how it looks from when they start, and they're these young rugby players and they're healthy college kids, and then they're on the mountain for 72 days. 72 days.
So, oh my God, it's so scary.
It's terrifying, and it's like the plane just crashed into a mountain at full speed because of pilot error. Like that would never happen now.
I hope not. I mean, the doors might fall off, but
yeah. But other than that, so it's a very famous case, like because they resorted to cannibalism in order to survive. But you really get the idea, like they had no other choice if they were going to make it.
Yeah.
And it's also that gruesome aspect can make it kind of creepy, and they've always embraced and talked about what they've been through because they have no shame. Like they were survivors. They got through a thing.
Yeah.
They all live near each other still.
Oh, that's so interesting.
They're all friends. They live in the same town together. Like they're almost all of them are still alive. The 17 that made it back. One of them lost his mother and his sister in that flight.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the level, and then to see them being rescued and then to see their families I was crying. I'm like, I know how the story turns out. But it just really, I don't know what it was. It's just like the human spirit.
Yeah.
Or whatever, but it was really well done, I think.
For a movie to move you when you already know how the story is going to end is pretty fucking impressive. Like,
yeah. They did a really good job. Like they look like they were haggard and malnourished, and they loved each other so much. They just depended on each other to survive. And anyway, I just thought I know I was kind of surprised at myself. Like I was kind of like, why am I crying? But I was sobbing. Okay. Yes. Changing the mood. So for podcast Astro Twins Radio, Astro Twins are my astrologers that I kind of go to. They have a radio once a week. They do astrology. It's free.
I like.
Also on podcast Murder in Boston. So we talked about the HBO series.
Yeah.
The podcast, as much as I liked that, the podcast is way better.
Oh shit. All right. I'll start listening to that.
It's like 5 or 6 episodes. It's with the Boston Globe. You get a much better idea about Charles Stewart and why he did what he did.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
It was really good. The Curse, I just finished. Everyone's talking about The Curse and saying, what the fuck did I just watch? I'm amongst you. I'm not sure either. We'll sort it out one day together.
They're also saying that about Saltburn, so...
No, there's like something going on here that's like, what am I even watching? And you've never, trust me, it's not even close to this. What happens in this last episode.
Okay.
The Holdovers on Peacock, loved it.
I knew you would. It's so good. It's streaming for free on Peacock. Go watch it right now.
A movie that's ever been more tailored to like my particular taste.
It's so funny because I don't think when I saw it, I was like, Margot's going to love the shit out of this movie. And it's not because I'm like, oh, Margot's so 70s or whatever. It's just, I knew you would love it. It's
really well done.
Yeah, it's really well done.
And Real Housewives Salt Lake City. It's on streaming on Peacock, and as great as it is when they're allowed to actually curse on the air, I love it even more. And it's been a great season, and I'm happy.
The finale or the reunion episodes this week. They're delivering as well. It was such a good season. And speaking of, Fargo is also having an amazing season. This might be one of my favorite seasons since, like, I really loved 1 and 2, like really, really loved, especially the first season. I was very, very invested in the characters in the first season, and I didn't want anything bad to happen to them. That's how I feel about this season. Like, the Juno Temple character, I was like, if anything happens to her, I'm going to lose my shit.
I'm going to fucking lose my shit. And John Hamm is amazing.
So scary.
So terrifying. And I was really worried because they were setting it in more modern times.
Yes.
But it's really worth it.
It's so good. You can watch that one on Hulu. Last night, I went out to the theater and I saw the new Mean Girls movie. And yes, it is a musical. Apparently, there are people out there who don't know it's the movie version of the Broadway musical. It's really, really fun. It's super fun. I think that if you like the Mean Girls movie, I think you will like this. I think if you're like, I'm indifferent to the Mean Girls movie, you still might really like this. It's really fun. And I think the performances are really great. I'm going to look up the actress who plays Regina George right this second, because what am I typing? Mean Girls. She's very, very good as Regina George. Renee Rapp is her name.
She's getting a lot of press right now, so I was wondering about that.
Yeah, she's really good, and it's just a very enjoyable watch. It was, and I saw it at the Alamo, so it was one of their like party nights. So they like were handing out fun things, and I saw it with like an 8-year-old, and she was super into it. There were a lot of little girls there. I didn't think the movie was super.
They have this.
Yeah, I'm glad they do too. And then, because Rosamund Pike in Saltburn, I decided to rewatch Gone Girl.
Oh, I love that movie.
That movie is a fucking masterpiece. Like, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, this is a masterpiece movie, and she's fucking amazing in it. And somehow Gone Girl, and then I watched Gone Girl, and then I think it was Amazon Prime was like, you might like Wild. So then I watched Wild, and that movie is not a bummer at all. I'm really on a streak here of super good times. I'm gonna go watch Zone of Interest tonight, by the way, which is like one of those, like, the people that live outside a concentration camp. So I'm in for a really fun night. But Wild is really great. I had never seen it before, and Reese Witherspoon is amazing in it. I was glad I finally watched it. And then for podcasts, I actually have been catching up on past episodes of This Ends at Prom, and have become...
Oh, they're great.
They're so great, and I've become kind of obsessed, and I joined their Patreon so I could listen to extra stuff because I'm enjoying listening to them so much. They... if you don't know, it's Harmony and BJ, and I believe Harmony is trans and did not watch all of these movies that teenage girls love, so they're like revisiting them now as adults, and they talk about them, and it's really, really good. And Margot, you've been on that podcast before.
I was a guest on their show, and we talked about and Andrew McCarthy.
Oh, Heaven Can Wait. Or no, Heaven Help Us.
Heaven Help Us. Sorry,
that's right.
Heaven Help Us. A really great movie.
Yes.
And I think we all had to subscribe to Max for a month or Cinemax for a month or something in order to watch it. But a lot of it's filmed in Brooklyn, so that was part of my book.
Yes.
And that's a movie that's super, not enough people watch that movie. It's really good.
Well, it came out the time of like sex comedies, and people are like, oh, another sex comedy. And apparently that's not what it is.
No, it's actually a little smarter than that.
It's not a Porky's. It's not a Porky's ripoff.
It's not a Porky's ripoff. It's about a Catholic school, and there's boys and there's girls. But it's Andrew McCarthy and Patrick Dempsey. It's his first role. It's really funny, and it's got a lot to say about, not great things to say about the Catholic Church, which I'm okay with. And I'm not sure how available it is, but if it is, you should check it out. It's a 1985 movie, and it takes place before Kennedy was assassinated. Like, he visits the town at one point, and like I said, it takes place in Brooklyn. Anyway, they're really nice people, and I actually said to them, like, you should be on our show. And they're
Yes.
like, oh my God, we'd love that. I'm like, so we need to set that up.
That would be super fun. I was just listening to their episode they did either last Christmas or the Christmas before. They did 1974's Black Christmas, which is turning into like one of my favorite horror movies.
Yeah.
So I went back and listened to that one, and now I've just gone down the rabbit hole, and I'm listening to them all the time. They're with me every day. It's so good. So it's called The Sons at Prom, and you can listen to it wherever you find your podcasts. My friend, where can people find you?
Oh my God. I'm at Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's my site. That's for Threads and Instagram. And I'm at Brooklyn Margot for the TikTok and Twitter, blah. And I haven't been on Blue Sky in a while, to be honest with you. But that's where you can find me.
Yes. And you can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on all the social media channels. I'm spending a little bit more time on Blue Sky than the site formerly known as Twitter, but I haven't quit completely. What else? Oh, Dorking Out. You can find us at dorkingoutshow.com. And if you want to leave us a review, we'll give you a shout out on the show. We greatly appreciate it because it helps us find our people. You can email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com, and we'll send you some stickers. If you send us your address, we'll be happy to do that. And what else? Oh, we're on all the... Oh, yes, go ahead.
If you like the sound of our voices, we co-host a show called What a Creep, where we talk about creeps from the past to the present. And so this last episode, episode we just put out yesterday, we're talking about J.D. Salinger and his he's a literary creep, and it's a good episode.
Yeah,
check it out.
You did a fabulous job on that episode. It was such a good one.
Thank you. Well, Joyce Maynard deserves a lot of the credit because she came forward with a story.
Yes. So thank you for listening, y'all. And we'll be back next week with probably not a movie quite as recent as this one.
I doubt it.
But in the meantime, let's dance out to Murder on the Dance Floor. Take off your clothes, Margot. Let's go.